For Parshas Re'eh, I would like to study with you an essay on the pasuk here that says, "Uveiracha Hashem Elokecha b'chol asher tas." And this you'll see here in Perek Tes Vav of Sefer Dvar at the end of pasuk Yud Chet. Rabbi Nosson, the outstanding disciple of Rabbi Nachman Mibreslev, has a very interesting presentation here, which I think, although I generally don't reach out to levels that are beyond our realm, but in this case, I feel that learning his Torah on this particular issue, this topic, has an impact on the soul. It sets a goal or a very high level, even if we can't achieve it, but we can hope and aspire to achieve part of it. This is the question of how much effort one should put in to getting a parnasa, to earning a livelihood. And to what extent should a person not put in that effort and rather rely on the Torah's promise here, Ubeiracha Hashem Elokecha b'chol asher tas. Now, certainly the Torah requires asiyah. You can't be totally relying, we don't rely on miracles. Ein somchel al nes, and the pasuk itself says, tas. Well, let's see what Reb Nosson has to say. Ikar atzvus v'daigot haparnosa. He says that so many people suffer, who doesn't almost, that much anguish and worry over parnasa. And what's the source of it? Mishum she'ein lo bitochen b'Hashem yisparach. He doesn't rely on God. And where is the source, the root of this so-called pagam, of this blemish that we don't rely on Hashem? It comes from, he says, makom uzman, because man is limited in space and in time. Hashem Yisbarach mashpia shifo tov tamid b'li hefsek rega. In truth, God and his emanations from above to bestow goodness upon man, not limited neither in time or space. Hashefa ba b'zeh ha'olam hagashmi b'chol makom b'chol zman. The only reason why we receive parnasa b'makom uzman is because we live in the limited material physical world, and therefore it's inevitable, and there's no other possibility that the shefa, this divine, that which emanates from above and flows down, has to be limited to makom uzman, because we live in the limited material finite world with two dimensions, makom uzman. Al kein ein hashefa shel parnasa v'ashiris nimcheches ki im b'makom uzman yodua, k'mo shenira b'chush. Right, we see with our own eyes that the shefa comes to us in a certain time, in a certain place. V'yesh man shodem marviach, v'yesh lehepach. He sees that at certain times God is very benevolent, and an abundance of shefa from Shamayim comes down, and at other times just the opposite. Very little coming down from Shamayim. Yesh man shom odem marviach, yesh lehepach. Yesh makom shebemakom zeh marvichim. He goes out to a marketplace in a certain location and he makes a killing. Goes out to a different location, can't get a buyer. Total flop. Ikar daigas parnosa machbas shelefamim nis achev sheva parnososo. He says, why are we so, shall we say, afraid? I'm looking for even a stronger word, where there's almost a parnasa phobia, where we are absolutely frozen, worried where the parnasa is coming from. And the reason for that is because sometimes the shefa doesn't come down immediately. You don't just snap your fingers and the goodness, the wealth comes flowing down from Shemayim. And therefore, he becomes so overwhelmed with these fears about what he's going to eat tomorrow. He also starts to work overtime, put in extra hours, 24/7 he's working, schlepping from city to city with his merchandise. The gigios gedolos, and despite all the effort that he's putting in, sof kol sof, eno masik parnasosa, it's not going to speed up the process. He doesn't realize this. The parnasa is going to come be'ito ubitzvano, in its proper time and its proper place. No matter what he does, he can put in 80, 90 hours a week. It doesn't guarantee that he's going to get a parnasa. The true wisdom, the true knowledge, he would rely totally and believe in God. God is going to bestow his sustenance upon him, and it's going to come in its time and in its place. And if he had that true belief and ultimate reliance on Hashem, he wouldn't add so many extra hours and so much work that he puts in slaving away, because he knows that there is a shefa that's going to come in its proper time, but it's all in the hands of God. Hashem Yisbarach yitain lo parnasoso be'ito, with an ayin, in its proper time, and besiba kala, and it could be because man did the slightest thing. He lifted up his finger, his pinky. He made an investment of a couple of shekels, and through that investment, he made lots of money. It's not a busha. There's nothing embarrassing about this. Yes, there's got to be a participation. He can't just wait back, as we said before, for the miracles to happen. He's got to be out there making a living. But it's only uvda kala, kuf lamed hey. It's the lashon Rabbi Nosson. Only a limited amount of work. K'maimer Rabbeinu, on our pasuk, the Chachamim quote, "Berach Hashem Elokech v'chol shetasa, ki efshar lahamshich hashefa b'zeh olam ki yimal yidei kelim." Right, the Torah says v'chol asher yasa. So the asiyah, the active involvement in parnasa, is the creation of kelim, of receptacles to receive the shefa, the beautiful gifts that are coming down from above. Okay, muchach lasso says a asik masamat. He's got to do some business, some deal, some masumata. But he has to realize that fundamentally and essentially what he's doing by putting in this effort, this minimum effort of what we call an uvda kala, is to create those kelim to receive the shefa from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But it's always coming back down from Hashem, and it's unpredictable when it's going to come. That which he worked for, and those hishtadlius, that he put himself out with a great tircha, that's not what's bringing the money. That's not what's bringing the dough. The money is coming from a shefa. It's coming from the divine being. True, you created the receptacles, but that's all you did. Ve'ikar parnasa me'Hashem Yisbarach hu b'hashgachaso levad, ki ein adam yodea b'may mistaker. Man really cannot know. Even the experts on the market don't know exactly when to invest and when not. Person shouldn't, so to speak, proverbially push the hour, which means his shtadlus is exaggerated. and he sweats and toils with his labor way beyond the normal proportions. As if to say, what he earns is a direct function and a result of what he works. That's not so. The adarabba, just the opposite is true. In certain cases, when a man overworks, trying to make more money, it works against him. It boomerangs against him. If he's pushing, sometimes the hour will push him back. He doesn't have to use extra time to enter into business negotiations. All he has to do is there's a mitzvah sasiyah to put in the effort, which externally looks like, on the face of it, that's what's going to bring in the dough, but he's required to do so. He's got a mitzvah siyah. And the mitzvah vasiyah requires a masa umated be'emunah kedei lasos eza kli v'tzinor l'kabel hashpah. Even when he's out there doing a living and doing what he has to do, whichever avodos and malachos, he really understands that he's just trying to create the kalim, those utensils and receptacles that can receive that hashpah from up on top. And that will be Beracha Hashem Elokecha B'Chol Asher Tas. And when it says B'Chol Asher Tas in our pasuk, what it really means is, says Rabbi Nosson, a whole new take on the pasuk. B'Chol Asher Tas, Yeh Mashiyeh. Hashem says, "I'll bless you no matter what you do, whatever limited." Guys, I said before, pick up your pinky. Afilu davar kal v'katan, yivarech Hashem, God will bless you. V'nira b'chush, we can actually reveal this miracle, establish it, and testify about it based on Rov B'nei Adam. What do we see in the world of Rov B'nei Adam? Shekama pa'amim shem rotzim v'rodfim mi'od achar parnos. They work overtime, trying to eke out a living. Kama zmanim the gios gdolos, and a person is spending an exorbitant, exaggerated amount of time with tremendous yigiyah. They take nothing home from all their amelus. But Hashem Yisparah marachem aleim, with divine compassion, umazmin lahem parnos, and then he presents parnasa to the people. L'famim afilu ashiris gadol b'siba kadamon, siba kala, meaning he does very limited amount of ishtadlus and he gains a tremendous amount of wealth. She kemat b'li shum derech hatevet. If you study it, the man became a millionaire overnight. You'll see that based on the laws of causality and financial considerations, he would never have gotten there. The whole history of man is full of stories. They're very commonplace. Now, Rabbi Nosson admonishes us, if you have a brain, and you have a little bit of a heart, and you have faith, somech atzmo al Hashem Yisparach v'lo yadoi klal. It could have completely dispelled any fears and anxieties. V'yazai lo yitzor klal yigios ke'ele shohaylo b'china. And at this point, we don't need all these yigios. Ukasher haya kishaya magia zman oyamazvelo Hashem Yisparach parnasa b'siba kala lo dai sheinu mavia klal al yidei dagoso v'tzvono v'yigios rabba shetorchos shehisrubo. He says that his daiga and his atzvus and yigias rabus and trochs atzumos, which he thinks is going to bring about the result that'll get rich, or at least make some money. Adarabah, the exact opposite. Who mafsid sheva parnasos like this. When he exaggerates the amount of ishtadlus, going way beyond the avoda muetes, he's damaging his own ability to receive shefa parnos. He's losing it. Ki be'emes ikar shefa parnosin im sheches mebchinas lemal me'azman va'mokom. So if this man is living incarcerated in zmanu makom, then there's no connection to the shefa, because the shefa is coming from a place which is infinite, where there is no limitations of makom and zman. When he finally recognizes and appreciates that everything is coming down from Shamayim, Yeshlo shefa parnosa. Okay, we'll take a minute's break here. Now Rabbi Nosson addresses the question, by what mechanics can his Emunah bitachon, relying totally on Hashem, bring about parnos? He said a beautiful chap here, based on the Pnimius HaTorah. He says, when he knows and he recognizes that everything's coming down from up on top, from on high, he takes man and mokom and he connects it to the Almighty who's above time and space. The Azayin, as a result, Yeshbo Parnosa b'Shefa. He'll get an amazing amount of Parnosa. And why is that so? He's connected to the source of all the Shefa. As a result of his faith and relying upon Hashem. If on the other hand he's not relying on Hashem, but he is putting in all those extra hours, so there's Mokum Uzman, and he's totally connected to Mokum Uzman. He's not connected to Lamala Mokum Uzman. And Memela, since the Shefa comes from Lamala Mokum Uzman, therefore he's not opening himself up to that Shefa, that benefit. And that's what Chazal mean, call it dochik es hachor dochakt. So this is a great lesson of Emunah, of bitachon, and get it right, he says. The less Emunah, the less bitachon, and the more work you put in, the more hours you add, and the more tirchus, the less shefa you're going to get, because the whole point is to take this worldly efforts of makom zman, connect them on high to the Ribono Shalom l'mala makom zman. Then the shefa will come down, and we should be zocher Mirz Hashem to see that shefa from Shammai will come out through our Emunah bitachon, the people. Bracha of Hashem from on high. Ken Yiratzon.